like the debate here. Should we be talking about transgender people in a hostile way? Should we just not be talking about this at all?
It used to be called gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder, now they call it gender dysphoria. The idea that sex or gender are malleable is not true.
It's about loving each other, honoring each other, trusting each other for what we need. We needed this much. We've been killed in America, where you're supposed to be free, to be who you are, the free and the brave. Ain't nobody no more braver than us.
But if any male person can call himself a woman or legally identify as female, then predatory men will do so.
I was able to take my life into my own hands and do what the medical community calls transition and, live my life how I saw fit.
I'm just going to jump right in here. I've tried a million different rewrites to help me land my point as softly as possible, but that just led to me dancing around the topic. So here's my thesis. I think at this time in our society, we should treat trans individuals similar to how we treat physically disabled individuals. I'm aware that statement is broad, but before I continue, I'd like to outline a few assumptions I am operating under based off the research I have done. Number 1, I don't believe being transgender is a mental disorder. The DSM-5 does not classify wanting to or being transgender, specifically gender identity disorder, as being a mental disorder. I agree with this assessment because the main reason a transgender individual can be viewed as dysfunctional today is because of how society reacts to these individuals. Without that reaction, most of these trans individuals are likely to conduct themselves indistinguishably from cis individuals. I understand a lot of people have an issue with this reclassification, and probably my take as well. The research, however, overwhelmingly supports that trans individuals who have transitioned experienced an improved quality of life, greater relationship satisfaction, higher self-esteem, higher confidence, and reductions in anxiety, depression, suicidality, and substance use. This conclusion, based on data, is why transgender individuals or an individual with gender identity disorder do not have a mental disorder. Because what mental disorder, when embraced, leads to an improvement for the individuals in the long term and can help a person reach their full potential. Number 2, transgender individuals do not pose a significant danger to others. There is actually not a lot of data on the criminality in the transgender population. There is a lot of data on violent crimes committed against transgender people, however, but regardless, a major obstacle to drawing statistically significant conclusions from studying the criminality of transgender individuals is difficult because transgender individuals make up a tiny minority of the population in any country. Also, it would be next to impossible to control for the transgender individuals being forced into disadvantageous economic situations due to societal rejection. In other words, due to societal rejection, many transgender individuals would find themselves on the margins of society where any individual is likely to be confronted by the worst aspects of a society. So this is where our thesis comes back in. At this time in our society, we should treat transgender individuals similar to how we treat physically disabled individuals. There is no doubt that most physically disabled people would say that they would want to be treated like any other person, a sentiment that is inherent in most people. But there are ways in which physically disabled people are given accommodations that non-physically disabled people do not need and probably don't use. I think these accommodations are amazing things because when implemented, they allow for physically disabled people to maximize the value they receive from events and established systems. An example of this is sign language interpreters at live events. More cynically, and perhaps more importantly, these accommodations allow physically disabled people to increase their own productivity within society. These types of accommodations are best exemplified by wheelchair ramps in a building or an area which would be impossible for a person in a wheelchair to traverse are made traversable, so a person in a wheelchair could work in that building or area. These accommodations are not charity. They are investments. They help to optimize individual productivity by removing obstacles that are present due to a person's particular physical disability. The members of a society benefit from a productive society, and the productivity of a society is just the aggregate of all the productivity of all its members. So an investment to boost the maximum potential of an individual's productivity benefits everyone in that society. So under this understanding, transgender individuals are typical people with the exception that their biological sex does not match their gender identity. This incongruity between someone's biological sex and their gender identity carries significant social stigma. This creates a dilemma for individuals dealing with conflict between their biological sex and their gender identity in today's society. They can either choose to conform with society's standards to maximize their harmony within that society, or choose to embrace their gender identity to maximize their harmony within themselves. I think everyone can agree neither of these options is optimal, and neither are likely to maximize a person's well-being. I think these same type of accommodations should be created for transgender individuals. Possible examples of these accommodations are removing gender declarations on job applications, federally implement ability to allow individuals to change their legal gender, and mandate insurance coverage to healthcare involved in transitioning. I think these changes will help in making transgender individuals more productive and help frame trans acceptance as a process that will benefit everyone, not just trans individuals. Because all people everywhere are their most productive when they live in harmony within society and within themselves. Well, there it is. My first YouTube video for sure came out pretty hot with this, I'm sure. A lot of my friends were asking why this topic, why now, yada yada. And I don't really know why. This idea just, I don't know, was really exciting to me. Hopefully it's helpful to a lot of people. I'm sorry if I offended anyone who's listening. I would love to hear your thoughts and criticisms in the comments. I'd love to discuss with you. I'd love to improve my own ideas about this topic. So please let me know below in the comments, and please subscribe. Thank you.